There is no investigation. This boy has...
There is not, really? It is to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy
There
has...
is not, really? It is to me. Right. Idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, you know, that's real tough.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has...
There is not, really? It is to me. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I have to...
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her... But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Good to be here. How is everybody today? Thank you for being here. It is Wednesday, April 27th, 5 after here on the West Coast. 5 after 6, that is, assuming that we knew what time it was. And I'd like to bring in right away the guest of honor, one of the favorites on this show, a man that needs little introduction, so I won't waste any time. Chris McDonough, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Josh, aloha, lab rats.
Yeah, here we are. The rats are here. It's good to see you, man. How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
It's been a little bit. We've both been busy.
Busy. Yeah, it's that's a good thing. It keeps us out of trouble. And keeps us productive, you know. There's something to be said about that. But yeah, man, it's just been it's Wednesday and it's been a long week, but
yeah, how's your family? I know you had a family member that was kind of,
you know, my grandma, she's doing better. I mean, her hospital stay has been extended. They're just, you know, really wanting to make sure she had a major kidney infection. She's not diabetic. So, you know, that's problematic in itself because it would make more sense. So we will know more tomorrow. The goal is to get her home on Saturday. And thank you everybody for the prayers and checking on us. And, you know, it's just, it is overwhelming, you know, because she's obviously more, not that grandmas aren't important to people, but she's a little more important than a grandma to me. And, so but she's doing well. I mean, she is, it's just taking some time. And when you get up in that age, you don't bounce back that fast. So but I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, you're not too far behind her. So
I know we'd actually share textbooks in high school. So, you know,
well, there you go.
I'm right. You're right.
I'll rest my case.
I'm an old man these days, you know. It is funny though, and I'm not gonna, because I know a lot of other people have a lot of other aches and pains and things like that. The one thing that I have noticed at 36 is the difference between when I was 18 and 36 is that, like, I could run face first into like a garage door, which I have, and I was seemingly fine the next day. And at age in my 30s, running into a garage door face first, which I have,
That explains everything.
you don't, yeah, that's where I get the volume from my hair. What's your excuse?
Oh, yeah. I
Is it-
love
is
that
it-
hairdo too, by the way.
well, thank
It-
you.
It's
It's
happening. It's
kind of
happening.
pompadour, right?
Well, you know what? It's, I think you're going for the McFluff. I think you're trying to get there, and you're almost there. Keep the gel coming, and it'll work. It'll work. But go ahead, finish your thought.
Pomade. It's not gel. I would never use gel. What are we? What is this? 1980s?
Pomade.
Yeah, pomade. You
Yeah.
just grab a. Just,
Yeah, that DLR right there. Exactly. Trinda.
if I
Thank
use
you.
pomade, it's DLR. Is that what you're saying? I love pomade. But after running into the garage door twice at different times in my life, I've noticed that it takes a couple more days to bounce back.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, I'm feeling fine the next day. Like it's like, oh, well, you might have bruised your sternum and cracked your esophagus, broken orbital bone, things like that. But it wasn't recent. Don't worry. It's just that I've just noticed that getting older. But Chris, I was watching the news this morning. Okay.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, you heard? Did you?
Yeah, I heard you were watching the news. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Well, I was watching TMZ, and I'm not not a big fan, but I like TMZ sometimes. And they were doing these like celebrities in awkward positions, that they find people in, and they're snapping photos. It was really, really interesting when I was watching TMZ, because I watch a lot of TMZ apparently.
Yeah.
They had a picture of you on there. Can you believe that?
No, yeah, of course I can't believe it. So,
okay, you
I
can't
can imagine that they caught me at another vulnerable moment. So, what did they put? What did they see?
Let's just take a look here.
I can't wait.
Oh,
that's yeah, exactly. The crapper's full.
Crapper's full.
And I had to. This was actually, and this is actually an old photo.
Oh, is this the one where
they're pitching it as a new one?
Okay.
This was my first Airstream.
Yeah.
You can tell it's got Cali plates on it. So
it does,
but everything else is correct. And I got that robe off of Amazon.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah. And hopefully they'll sponsor your channel now.
Please do.
That they can get up there.
Yeah.
It looks like a gladiator helmet, doesn't it? That Airstream?
It definitely does.
Remember that movie, Gladiator, where who was in that thing? I forget.
Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, and didn't they wear helmets like that with just
they did.
Yep.
They called it, matter of fact, a little known fact, they called it the Airstream helmet back then, even in ancient Roman days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you could see them coming with the taillights.
Yeah. They turn it on, they're flashing. And don't mess with that guy. His hazards are on.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that I was a ancient Roman aficionado, but
no, I did not.
I am.
But that doesn't surprise me.
No, why would it? But okay, so me being an ancient Roman aficionado doesn't surprise you, but it does surprise you that TMZ caught you emptying out the crapper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Cousin Chris.
Yeah,
cousin Chris.
And I'm telling you, when you show up to my studio, I know you're parking that bad boy right on my lawn.
It's exciting because we are looking forward to that when we get out west there.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. I'm going to lower your property values in your entire neighborhood.
Well, they don't know how much lower they can go. I live here, so
I've been known to do that once or twice.
Have you been known to drop the property value of places?
Yeah,
I mean, that really
absolutely. Everywhere I go,
yeah, that like, can't boom, be good, Chris.
Property value drops. I mean, it just doesn't cease
No,
It just doesn't cease. Hey, you like my office back screen here?
it looks like you're gonna diagnose me with something for sure.
No, it was the old one. It was the old one. It was
I love it.
yeah, all
There's
the
a
trinkets.
there's a
I
I
don't
like
know where
it.
they are now. They're in storage. All that stuff's in storage.
Yeah, you didn't put everything under the Airstream.
Yeah, we can't fit. You get a hose under the Airstream. That one you just saw actually fits under the Airstream.
I knew somebody
It's
who,
Griswold.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I knew somebody that they were like a big storage person as well. Like they had a bunch of their stuff in storage, and he was missing a tooth, like his front tooth,
Mhm.
and he was a young guy. And I asked him where his tooth was, and he said that it was in storage. He couldn't find it in all the boxes. And I said, well, you probably want to mark that box a little better next time, because he was like 25, and it wasn't like a bad tooth. It got knocked out, so he got the little retainer tooth, and he packed it up. He should have went for the permanent if he's going to be irresponsible with his teeth.
Well, I interviewed a guy one time, and he was out on a construction site, and he was missing his thumb on his left hand, and he had it in a like a little that plastic well, I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but anyway, he had it on in the middle of the slab of this house that he was framing when I walked up on him. And I said, dude, what's this? And he goes, oh, that's my thumb. And he showed me his hand with no thumb. And I said, wow. I said, what, there's got to be a story here, buddy. And he says, yeah. He said, I cut it off by accident, and they couldn't reattach it. And so I put it in this little, block here. And he carries it everywhere, every job, and he puts it in the middle of the slab, and to remind him not to ever do it again. And I was like, well, there you go. It's almost like running into a garage door. I mean, it's something you're always going to remember. But that was kind of weird.
Well,
don't forget the thumb.
No, you do not want to forget your thumb. And
yeah.
I have problems with garage doors. I mean, when I was 14, I accidentally backed a truck through one, a brand new house.
Wow.
It was my youth pastor of all people
Mm-hmm.
told me that he said, back my truck up against that. And I said, I don't know how to drive. I'm 14. Oh, it's not that hard. Get in. It was a stick shift. He wanted me to go in reverse. So I shot that thing right through his garage.
Oh.
and we were just moving him in too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had a couple incidents like that, but usually emergency services aren't called, but every now and then you never know. Like it can get a little gnarly.
And you had an interesting life, Josh. I mean, with your mom and all the reality of, what you experienced there, and just your dad being locked up north, and
mm-hmm.
and then, your grandparents taking you under their wing to raise you, which they did a great job, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, always. I mean, and, the fact that you've been able to to push forward and, maintain the course going forward in your life, that's pretty admirable. I mean, there's, drugs, alcohol that didn't grab you. Okay? And it could have quickly, I bet.
Sure.
It could have. Yeah. I mean, with, even though you were young, the trauma and the post-traumatic stress that carries with that, even though you couldn't comprehend a lot of the things that were going on at the time,
right?
Your sweet mom was taken. Eventually, you got to a place where you could, and it would be really interesting at one point, and when I get out there on the West Coast, I would love to go with you. And by the way, I'm in a park. If you can't hear it, somebody is outside, probably with a snowblower. Where I'm at, it's so cold. But anyway, that said, when I really would, to go with you and to sit down to see if your dad would meet. and to, there is a lot of, there was a program years ago, and it was called something to the effect of healing through forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in families, victims, and then they brought in the suspects. And it took months and months to get these meetings together. And they would sit down eventually over time. And the two of them would be in the same room together. And it was very liberating for both sides of the family, because the suspect got to feel a little sense of remorse, and not all of them do, but some do, right? Not all killers are evil, people. They do evil things, but some of them are spontaneous events, some of them are calculated, and the calculated ones are the most dangerous and the most problematic. But at some time, they're always looking for the sense of forgiveness. Some of them, and the majority, not a small minority of them. And your dad is probably one of those guys who's, yeah. And I've done a little homework on him, by the way. I didn't share it with you, but he's hardcore right now, locked up.
Mm-hmm.
And you yourself you could have made a couple of choices in your life, and you chose not to. You didn't follow the route. You broke the cycle. And look at your son today. I mean, you have a successful young man who your grandfather gave you the core values and the moral compass. It's not always been, perfect like mine. None of us are. Okay? But at the same time, okay, you're able to push through it. And you did it. And your reflection in your son, okay, will become in its totality the reflection of your grandchildren. We measure our success by how our grandchildren end up, not by our children, because if they take care of their kids, then we have taken care of, the correct things, and the cycle's been broken. But if your grandkids end up, all messed up, tweaked out, schizo, drunk, doing all the craziness with drugs and alcohol, that's a problem. And that is all pain based. Okay. It's all driven by pain. And, I know some of the nicest, heroin addicts you would ever imagine.
Right.
And when you sit down with them and talk to them like human beings, you find out they have an amazing story. They have amazing stories. And 90% of them they didn't choose it. It chose them. And they fell into the trap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're cool in terms of, just who you are. I think it's great that you've been successful as a dad. And, that's why I admire you on the YouTube platform. You really have gotten it together. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate you said that's all, and absolutely, I've had conversations with him when we don't speak like that. We're not really in touch at all. But I've shared a couple times that, when his mother died, I ended up with his suitcase, whatever. And him and I had a couple of conversations, and nothing really, I don't know exactly how to put it, but nothing. I always felt that the murder was premeditated, and he wasn't charged with premeditation. And one of the things that I always wanted him to admit, because it was known through the family, and that he was talking about it a week before, that he wanted to, commit the crime and kill my mom. And he denied it and denied it and denied it. And still to this day denies it, says it wasn't, and I never really, I tried to get answers, and I talked to him about it. We talked about it, very raw, earth shattering type of emotion in your, I was in my early 30s when I did this. And it was kind of like, I remember telling my grandma that I was going to talk to him, and she supported me so much. And I
Yep.
know that there were people in my family going, why are you doing this? Why? And I told him, I said, this is my journey. This is my life. This is what I have to do. Like, I'm the one that has to live with this the rest of my life. It's something I feel like I had to do. So I did it. And nothing fruitful came out of it really. But the one thing that did, and this is the weirdest thing, I asked him, I said, because I ask my aunts and my grandma, for more detail and things like that. And the one thing that I got out of him, and memories fade over time, there's just, after 30 something years, memories fade. So I asked him, I said, what was her favorite thing to eat? And I used to ask people that, and everyone was like, I don't really know. I mean, she was only 23, when she passed away. And so I said, what was her favorite thing to eat? And that was a question I really, really wanted answered. And he said that it was salad with all the fixings, onions, croutons. And I remember going, that's my favorite thing. And it is. And I remember just something so significant that I go, I don't know why, but it was all worth it just for that. I think about it all the time. Every time I have a salad, every time I fix it up just the way that she would like, and it was, I got a lot out of that, man. I'm telling you, something so simple, I just wanted to have that. And the fact that her and I had the same exact favorite meant everything to me. I don't know why, because it's something that and every time I eat one now, I think, wow, this is quite the we meet again type situation. So but yeah, I'm always I have no problem talking to him or anybody. The only problem, it's not like a leisurely thing. I don't want to talk to him about his day because I don't really care.
Right.
How his day is. I was saying the other day that apparently, they get to play softball in prison, which is nuts. But that is what it is. But I appreciate you saying that. I don't, I don't feel any, like I got any other breaks in life because of it. I was held accountable for
Right.
everything that I had ever done by my grandparents. I had to admit when I was wrong. I had to admit when I was being stubborn. If I did something, they held me accountable, man. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, poor little Josh. It was like, dude, you got life's coming.
Well, and
Doesn't matter.
they gave you a foundation like you're talking about. And
A
I
life.
I know that you have also been, so you can teach with authenticity. Okay. That is a powerful gift. As I know that sounds crazy, but the folks that go through so much, and there's a lot of them in your chat over here right now, and this is why, I think it's always so important to be so respectful and so considerate and sensitive to the folks that come into our chats, because they have lived that authenticity in their own lives. I have a saying that each and every one of us has our own Gethsemane. And whatever that means to that person or persons, okay, it's not for us to say, you know, you this, you that, you there. Okay. Now, I mean, we've all done it. Okay. We've all done it as human beings because this is, the condition, right? That we're in. And I've experienced, witnessing and talking to some of the most evil, and I mean evil, uh, people that could do the most horrendous problems.
Hmm.
But there's this other side that says, do they have any sense of respect left? Is there anything in there? Okay. And, for some, that's hard to adapt to say, how could you sit in the same room with Brandon Wilson, and, have him, pretend that he just killed Matthew Checky, and then at the end of it, say, would you like a, glass of water? Okay. Uh, and I think the key to understanding sometimes the human condition for each and every one of us is that at some point he will realize that the horrific problem that it was, and sure enough, while he was on death row, he committed suicide
Oh, wow.
because he ran out of options internally. And so I always try to be kind and respectful, and people can say or whatever they want about me, because to be honest with you, it doesn't do anything to respond to people lie. They're going to say things that are just inappropriate, and if you respond to it, then you validate it.
Right.
Right? It's just better to say, you know what? I don't know what you're going through right now. Okay? I don't understand it, but I've got my own Gethsemane. So therefore, if you need me, I'll listen, but I can't come into your pain right now. I can't do that. I won't do that because I'm dealing with my own problems, and that because sometimes you just can't fix it. Okay. Like my wife used to tell, young girls, friends of ours, boys are like buses. And they'd be like, what? And he says, well, if you look on the marquee, there's a destination. So you can see it coming. Okay. And then when the bus arrives and the door opens, okay, well, first of all, check to see if it was on schedule. And if it was on schedule, then you may want to think about, going for a ride. But look at the bus driver. Okay. And if he's, whatever, if he fits your style or whatever, then you'll make a choice, but he doesn't have to be perfect. However, do one other thing, and that's lift up the baggage compartment. Okay. If you see a bunch of, coolers in there attached to motors on, with wheels, and it's a beer cart, okay, you may want to think about taking a ride on that bus. Okay. And you may want to think twice. But if you see, destinations and Gucci bags and all this other stuff, I'm teasing. Okay. Well, then maybe you want to, try it. But if the bus leaves at some point, there's another one right behind it because they're on schedule. And the universe is always on schedule. And so you've done an amazing job in your life. I commend you, with your son, because I've talked to him, I've heard him, and he's doing great. You're doing great in terms of how you have dealt with all the problems that came your way, and it is in reflection of how you treat your grandmother. Okay, that is a reflection of how well you have been treated, and the moral compass that you have. So all the other mishigosh, for lack of a better term, we just run, because there are kids out there that are messed up. Look at this kid up in Wisconsin who just killed that 10-year-old girl.
Unbelievable story.
Yeah. I mean, this little 10-year-old Lily is out on the path, and this guy was, pre-planning, premeditation, to take her out. And, Remember, sexual deviant behavior is the motivation in that crime. I'm gonna go on the record and tell you that for that 14-year-old boy. Okay. That kid, there is a stream of consciousness in there that is messed up, and I'll guarantee you through pornography.
Yeah. Oh man. Absolutely. And in how accessible it is and how graphic it can be. You know, I've read so much stuff about how bad that is for the forming mind, and a mind that is completely formed. It can still twist you. And the fact is that it's such a false sense of dopamine that you get from looking at things like that. It kills off a lot of the gray matter in your brain, which is your rational thinking. And there's science to back this up now.
Yep.
And I sit there and go, this is terrifying to even think that this is what's happening to when I was a kid, getting a hold of anything like that was extremely difficult. Okay. It just was. It wasn't. Now 10-year-old kids have cell phones, 12-year-olds, sometimes younger. And it's just at the click of a button. And that's scary. That
it's the first time in history, in the history of the world, where if somebody is religious, for an example, if a religious person, okay, goes to church and they're taking the sacrament, for lack of a better term, the devil can be right there in their pocket. That the first time the devil's ever gone to church in the history of the world, he has a window into every religious ceremony, whether you're Muslim, Buddhist, Universalist, Methodist, whatever your faith system is, and they're all good because they anchor us as human beings. Even, meditation, yoga, those are all great things to have. But for the first time, the devil can be right there with you. And if you look at the things that are online, what's happening in our societies across the world, that the internet has started wars.
Yeah.
In Africa and third world countries, right? And so it's so different that my sweetheart's trying to tell me something. I love this girl more than anything. Come on, what are you doing? She wants to walk behind me.
Oh,
Just
go for it.
come walk behind me, wave at everybody as you're walking by. No, she said no.
Is she gonna army crawl on the floor?
I love this girl more than anything on this earth.
She's gonna
Seriously.
army crawl on the floor.
And you hear her? Listen, she's crawling behind me.
Everybody, Karen's crawling on the floor.
Everybody, she's cracking up. Go ahead. She wants to move up. Honey, where the life in the Airstream. This is fantastic. Okay, I'll close the door.
I can't believe she crawled.
She's so cute.
That really is cute. Well,
oh my gosh. Okay, that was unexpected. That was such a serious topic. And,
I knew. I
look over and she's on the floor going. I'm like, what did I do? I thought I said something. She's anyway. Okay.
That
said,
you could tell her that wearing an all green outfit will help if she's got to run in front of your screen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's awesome.
That's
she's
so
awesome.
I thought that I didn't really think she was going to do that.
I didn't either. Well, she's got to come out. No, she's
got to crawl back in.
Out. We'll see what happens. I married so far up I can't see straight.
There's no way that she's going to stay out there the rest of the show, right?
No, I don't know. She's so cute.
If
I took the green screen off, you'd be able to see what's behind me, but she told me to put it on in case she had to go by.
That's too funny, man.
So anyway, yeah, it's rewiring our our children's minds and our society's minds, and we look at what's going on. I mean, this poor kid and the little girl, this poor victim, is this 14-year-old. I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity. And now, and you think about that and you measure it against, how Don at, his age at 12, victimized, his family. And now it makes a lot of sense about, okay, well, how in the world is this even possible?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Utah has a lot of surprises coming. Don sent his sister down to the station to complain. Right. His sister. Okay. Now, but I'll just give you the Reader's Digest because I can't go into too much, but
I do my best. It's
exactly.
hard, that's real tough.
Right. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. And also, but so it happened, but not exactly the way they're describing it.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And that's what the detective was like.
Okay.
Seriously? Seriously. Okay. And so
God understands our human brain.
Thank you, Don. And I agree with you that's an interesting hypothesis. What else do you suspect?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Typical. But how old was she? How old was she?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Yeah. So
no.
He's a good example of how this whole thing gets rewired.
Yeah, man, it is. So it goes from they're lying about me, nothing happened, to well, it didn't happen like they said it happened, which is by the way typical abuser behavior and rhetoric. Everything's always everybody else's fault, set up for failure, no responsibility for their own actions, yet they're the ones that keep getting in trouble over and over and over, and they can't understand why they're getting in trouble. And they accuse everybody else of the things that they're doing. Dawn is just a perfect example of an abuser. And I mean, it's unfortunate that he has wrecked so many people's lives along the way. And that is, and I'm not even talking about Summer's case at all.
Right. Yeah, he is. He has. I'll just be a dutiful husband.
You're a good guy.
Not just for a second. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. And there we go.
That's the other side of life. You have to laugh. You have to laugh, right?
I'm telling you, it's the one thing that I love laughing. I just love to do it.
Yeah, you're pretty funny, actually.
I think it might have been as a young kid, maybe a defense mechanism, or kind of alleviating some anxiety in certain situations. And as I got older, I noticed that I was a little more quick-witted than some people that I would talk to and make them laugh a lot. I remember one time I made this kid laugh so hard he had milk coming out of his nose at school. And I would try it every day. just every time he'd take a drink of milk, I try and do something to make him start laughing. And it worked a lot. We wasted a lot of milk doing that. But yeah, laughing is just good for the soul. It really, it's just the best, because getting angry, when people get angry to a certain, when after you calm down from getting angry, do you know that your body is still out of sorts like 2 days later after getting to a boiling point?
I did not know that.
You don't really get right your biorhythms, your everything about you. When you reach that boiling point of just complete anger, you may calm down within an hour, 2 hours, but it actually takes your body probably 2 days to get rid of all of that, adrenaline and whatever was in there. It takes a long time. And so, it's one of those things where they can't get your goat if they don't know where it's tied up.
Yeah, it releases that cortisol, and
big time.
You got to get it out of your system.
Yeah, and it is scary in a major way. But what were we? I forgot what we were talking about.
No, we were talking about Lily, and then we were talking about Don, and of course, the victimology of all the children, and then Utah. I also have an update I'll share on your show for you with Rose Bly's case. So I talked to the detective yesterday for about a half hour, and a couple of the things that are happening out there with people, with rumors and all this other stuff. He says, social media is becoming problematic with all the lies and the information that's just not accurate. Okay. And he said, he would like me to message that, the case is moving. They're focused on something, okay, and somebody, and the rumors that show up on Facebook, YouTube, etc., okay, are not current or correct.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, right. And so at some point, he's going to release additional information about that particular case, but it's causing them a little less time to focus on the case because of all of these, nothing burgers coming in, and they're chasing, they're chasing the wind. So if we can, as YouTube platforms, just kind of stick with the facts that we know, okay, out there right now, and that's, the current information about, where her car was found, who she ate dinner with the last times, those kind of things. Then we're, that will be a clarity. He did want me to tell everybody that, and I'll share that with you. I was going to tell everybody on my channel on Sunday night, so I'll reiterate it there. But
wow.
Yeah, so
wow.
Rose Bly's case is cooking, and they're on something.
I love that.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I think about that case a lot. I mean, I get, between Summer and Michael Vaughn, Rosemary, there's just a lot of cases. And now you've got me just hooked on Dee's case. I mean, I just, every little bit of information I just look at, because it mirrors the Barry Morphew case, and everybody knows how I feel about those kind of guys, the Larry Miliettes of the world. And
yep.
There are so many victims that need to be honored and respected and laid to rest if that is their fate. And then the people that did it need to pay for it in the most major of ways. It is not the nerve of these husbands, quote unquote husbands, to think that they own somebody in such a way that they can choose whether they live or die, and whether anybody finds them or not. And if they're in, and then by hiding them, they're basically saying, you're not going to hold me accountable for anything that I've done. That was my wife. My father was on the run for 5 days. God knows where he was going to go. He was probably trying to skip town too. But you know, and then they come up with these, it's always Mexico or Jamaica, you know, and
Yeah. What an overlay that was, right?
well, think about this. There are in inordinate amounts, according to accused wife killers, apparently in Mexico at a resort somewhere, there is a bunch of women that ran off from their husbands and families and children. There's an oasis somewhere that none of us know. It's like Atlantis, the lost city, you know. Jamaica is full of it too. Whenever I can tell you, whenever a man tells you when his wife goes missing that she's in Mexico and Jamaica and left her kids, they're not, and they didn't. I've never heard of a story where that actually ended up being the case. I'm sure there's an outlier, one or two over the history of forever. But it's just not something that's common. You know, I don't want to hear about Gone Girl. Don't tell me about Elizabeth Smart. I know all of that stuff. Those are outliers. They're not really thrown into the mix of reality. You know, there's just little amazing things, I guess, but it is not. It's just not likely. You know.
Yeah, it's not, and the odds of it with some of the evidence that's going to come forward. I mean, on Mother's Day, we're going to lay it out up there, you know, about D. Warner. We're going to do something that hasn't been done yet, and Billy's going to present it as this is the evidence we've recovered. This is the evidence we've seen. And I'm still up here on this. In fact, I was with her family today talking to them.
Yeah, we saw the picture of you on TMZ.
I'm sorry?
We saw that picture of you on TMZ.
Yeah, exactly.
We know you're in route.
Yeah, I was milking the cows. You know, and that's where that came out. So, and these, you know, again, this is, you know, America's breadbasket. I mean, some of it. Right. These are really super amazing, great people. And this mom, you know, she's a mother, she's got grandkids, and she's got a 9-year-old daughter. And she allegedly, according to the husband, says, you know, oh, well, she left her wedding ring and went to either Jamaica or Mexico. Well, where have we heard that before? And
Every time a wife goes missing of a husband that's suspected of killing her.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that everybody is overlooking that on the BM problem right now, that he's out and he's been, you know, without prejudice. Okay. You know, he has the whole case file now.
Yeah, he knows all. Yeah, exactly.
He knows every move that the PD made. Every move.
Yep.
And now
attorney he has to.
Now he can counter move to that problem. That, you know, I know a lot of folks are optimistic about, you know, where that situation's going to end up. You know, I'm hopeful they find her body, but don't hold your breath if they don't, because you know, he's going to be free for quite some time.
You think that if they can't find her body, that they just try it again, eventually?
No, it ain't. My experience has told me too many times that, you know,
what would be so say that they don't find her body and this goes on another 2 or 3 years. Okay. and they can't find her. I mean, what's stopping them from just trying then?
What do you mean?
To put them to, because they reach the 51% mark of being able, they can refile charges at any time. The court will accept them.
Sure,
I mean,
but
wouldn't it be
if
worth
a
a
jury
shot?
finds him not guilty, then he's free forever. And then they
So-
do find the body. They can't try him.
So you think that they would rather do that and then her body show up 10 years later and then try him?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they've got to find some evidence of her, okay, because it's gonna see, and Mr. Maven, she's an attorney, she knows things their own motion to dismiss. It's not good. There you go. I agree with her 100%.
That's never a good sign.
Never a good sign. Never a good sign. And did they have him? Yes, I think they had him. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think there was problems and challenges? Yes. I said it a long time ago. Okay. If you go back and watch any of my stuff, I said that does not look right. And if they don't do that, quote unquote, certain things, okay, you're going to have problems. And, now everybody's talking about, the DNA CODIS and all this other stuff. Okay. Well, it's not even, it's irrelevant. It's smoke and mirrors. Okay. And because you can have, it's not a hit, as they say, right? A hit means that's your guy. Okay. It's, the match, the DNA information out there. And when Francine was on my channel, and she's the one who created the Bordeaux method, right? She's the inventor.
That's the vacuum DNA?
The vacuum DNA.
Yeah, that was just used in a case that I covered up in Potsdam, New York a couple of years ago. It didn't yield anything new, but they're going to try it again. It's a fantastic, what she's doing is awesome. And
She can take DNA off of rocks.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. And that kind of stuff. So even though you get similarities, there are, markers inside of the various DNA. Well, each of us could have the same type of markers. Okay? Everybody. Okay? But there's not enough to say definitively that's the guy. So defense attorneys, smart defense attorneys, say, well, there's 6 kids in the room. Okay, they all have the same kind of markers, but two of them could be alike. And that's Bobby and Joni. Okay. So therefore, we must know more information about them. Well, so it's a red herring. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a red herring. And that's what happened here. So all of this stuff that came downstream and emotions, to suppress, that's why they wanted to suppress the witnesses. Because the witnesses, the experts would have come in and testified about various different things in relationship to that type of evidence. Okay. So I think if they find her, and I said it a long time ago, that trees were in play. I was on the phone 2 days ago with the person that actually found her, or found, not her, found a tree. Okay. The cadaver dog reacted. I have photographs of people there, i.e. the lead detective from CBI. I have a photo of him talking to Andy. And so the evidence may have been there, and it's within, the things that they put into the, excuse me, I apologize, into the motion to dismiss. So let's see what they do now. That area, I'm sure, is full of snow. But They know maybe it's the same area, maybe it's a different area, but
Yeah. So here's a question for you. Well, I didn't. The question was, I mean, in your personal opinion, and I know that you have to be speculating. You think they'll find her body? You think that they are close, like they say they are? Or is that just a tactic that they're using? Actually, I don't know if we should answer that question or not.
well, I'm always hopeful. That's how you solve cases. I'm hopeful that somebody saw something and comes up and says, look, I need to tell you something. Okay. I know that these witnesses that came forward with a tremendous amount of courage to talk about, Suzanne, to talk about, Barry, to talk about the things that he did when he was younger. There are a lot of people. Now, what would be really interesting is to take him to civil court, and like they did OJ,
Yeah, love that.
and have the court system say, yeah, you're the guy, and therefore all that stuff goes away.
Mm.
So that's still a card that the Mormon family could play. Get a good civil attorney and, chase it down that direction. Because the one thing, if Barry starts suing people, okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, because it opens them up.
Absolutely, to depositions.
He's not going to want to answer questions.
No, and you get a guy like Billy Little, quite frankly, who would represent me as an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just sit there with the biggest smile on my face and say, let's go. Here we come. Okay. Now, so for him to do that against the Mormons or any of the witnesses or anybody that said or did whatever, okay, the BM there, that would be very, very, I would pay to watch those depots.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because that case in Potsdam, New York was the murder of Garrett Phillips. A man named Oral Nick Hillary was accused of it. He was acquitted, but which is a whole different story. But he would have never even been indicted if he didn't sue the town of Potsdam for illegal arrest. So they said, well, you're gonna sue. Well, you're gonna open yourself up. No charges had ever been filed on him, but he said they held him illegally and all this stuff, which turned out he lost, all of those. But the Potsdam police retained a man by the name of Tom Mortati, who's a friend of mine and a great civil attorney. I think he holds the record for the biggest civil lawsuit for medical malpractice. And but then he switched over to the defense side, and they retained him. Well, under oath, they showed up, and he couldn't believe that this guy was answering the questions that he was asking. And he had a horrible Nick Hillary had a horrible lawyer. And they said, well, was that you in the parking lot in that car? Because they couldn't tell if it was or not, but they assumed it was because it fit the description of his car, but they didn't have a clear photo of him, and they didn't have a license plate. He said yes. And he goes, did he just say that that's him in that parking lot? And he runs downstairs going to talk to the guy. He goes, he just said that was him. And I go, all right, well, get back in there. And he said, so did you take a left out of the parking lot that day or a right? Because you live to the right. Garrett lives to the left. Garrett rode right past you. You're in the parking lot and you take off left. Why'd you go left? I don't know. Do you usually go left? No. Garrett ended up dead 20 minutes later. Yeah. And then he goes, they turn it into the DA, and the DA goes, all right, we're going to take you to trial. He on a technicality through DNA, it was thrown out by a judge. He went to a bench jury, where the judge was the one that made the
decision.
Yeah, and if he would have went to it was a smart decision on the defense's part to do that, because I think in front of an actual jury, he's in trouble, and they find him guilty of stuff. But yeah, that would be amazing if Barry would start suing people, because those are the kind of things that happen.
And I think he's smart enough to know that. That's the interesting thing, because his attorneys have told him, look, you need to go lay low. Okay, this is done. Let us handle, some of the other side of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, Lauren, she's doing her job. Thank you, Meredith. And the attorney, put her on trial, post trial, right? But had this continued on, had the judge let it, go, and had the prosecution said, hey, we need to regroup here. We need to figure out what direction we need to go. It just shows that with some of the stuff that was done, it could have been interesting. Mushrooms, there were a patch of white mice. Someone said those mushrooms grow. Okay. I don't know about that personally, Arkansas white dove, but that'd be interesting to find out. I go by, the evidence that we presented to them, where, there are 3 cadaver dogs, 3 hit a certain area. And, I remember the day. It was like, Andy called me and said, hey, they found something, or it looks like they may have found something. Now, interesting enough, also earlier in the day, we had received information about trees that were purchased, and the jobs that they were buried, or that they were planted. And all of that information was turned over to CBI. I have the emails to Cahill, the case agent. And all of that information was like, here you go. Right. And now we hear about, well, we're close to finding her. Okay. Well, how many times, had she been moved? Has she been dismembered? And I know this is gross, and I apologize, but it's also reality when you're working and understanding these kind of horrific kind of crimes.
And I think the people that follow these cases do unfortunately understand that, but yes, it's never easy and fun to hear about.
Right.
And it is the reality.
Yeah. And I apologize, but I'm so used to it, for lack of a better term, that it's just, what I've known for the last 40 years in law enforcement, in terms of being in the environment, 25 on the job, and the rest, doing what I'm doing with the cold case and other things. And so for me, it was like, okay, wow, Andy may have found something. And because he called and he said, what do I do? I said, well, you call the cops, call the sheriff. Well, lo and behold, he didn't have to. They came out of the woodwork,
right,
out of the woods, literally. And so my feeling back then, and I said this back in December, they were waiting for Santa Claus. They had surveillance on that area. And because the first question he asked him, he says, how did you find this area? Well, it's not my first rodeo.
Right. Right.
And so it was like, Andy was coming down that hill with those dogs. And then remember, he got a hit down by the river behind the house, that he had been working on the bobcat down by the river, the riverbed.
Mm.
Okay. And they came back, remember the handler, they were ask the person that, is your dog certified? And yeah, the dog was certified in Colorado, by the way, had major fines on some very high profile situations in Colorado. Okay. Well, I don't know if they ever moved those river rocks where that dog was. Because at the time, there was a theory had he used the bobcat to move her or move things that, it's possible that the human scent could have been all over that bobcat. And that's why he kept it with him. Remember when Andy was on the search, he had that bobcat on the trailer.
He never took it off. Yeah.
He never took it off. Never took it off.
There's a reason. There's got to be a reason for that. Because you think that would come in handy.
Yeah, right. I'm not out here searching for my wife, but I'm driving around with my bobcat on the back of my truck.
Yeah, don't take it off for any reason whatsoever, even if we find something suspicious. We're not digging, we're not doing anything.
Right. So that's why we're up here. Billy and I are up here in Michigan. Yes, they would, Molly.
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Oops.
Yeah, that's correct, Teresa. He did. That puppy was right next to him 24/7, 365.
It certainly was.
Like that's not odd. Exactly.
And it is a fact. Thank you, mods. Absolutely. We do have great mods and even a couple crossover mods, a lot of crossover subs here. It's a really great family and community that we have. It's the best. And you guys keep it very, very classy in the chat as always. Now, since we're talking about dogs and sniffing, I want to talk to Buddy a little bit because we're going to need Buddy to really start stepping up his game because, I think he's just kind of living the plush life in that Airstream. He just has a great day every day. But it's, yeah, okay, well, look at this. Okay. So
he's sound asleep right behind.
Bomb sniffing Jack Russell Terrier has found 150 Russian bombs in Ukraine. What's Buddy done lately? Jack Russells are great bomb sniffing dogs because they have an acute sense of smell from their years of being bred as hunting dogs, as small dogs. They can get into tight areas. I'm sure you know all about that. The shower. I remember the shower incident. As small dogs, they can get into areas and their body weight doesn't set off landmines. That's really cool and terrifying at the same time. And rats have also been known to been used similarly. And what a cute little guy that is. So Buddy, you're gonna have to hit boot camp because you're gonna need to hook him up. Maybe he can pull the Airstream so you guys can save some gas.
Absolutely.
Plow a couple fields for you. He's gonna have to take care of you guys in your retirement.
This guy is so cool. He's so fun. He's a nut job. Okay? Because, in the middle of like 8, 9 o'clock at night, he'll just take off at Mach 1 from one end of the corner of this trailer to the other end of the corner. I mean, and it's like, holy cow, did he just eat a meth pipe of some sort? He's just berserk.
Hanging out with Dom.
Yeah, but he's got squirrels, he's got rabbits, he's got, everything in nature. And he just loves. And you can see him in the mirror on that last week on D, looking and just taking everything in like chocolate, right?
Yep.
Because, it goes here, right here.
Yep.
Okay, for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's or what is it? Here, and here. That's one of those things. But I called an old friend of mine. His name is Manny Villanueva. He runs it's called Man Canine. and he trains all the dogs for San Diego PD and everything. And I told him, I said, look, Manny, I said, this dog is driving me nuts. I can't, I got him sitting, I've got him staying, and et cetera. But man, when he gets out, he is like he's gone. And I'm worried about him because if he gets on a squirrel and he gets in the woods, I don't know if I can get him back.
I mean, they're called, it is called the zoomies, or I call it the zooms when they get going. Otis does that too. It'll out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Yeah, the zoomies, yeah. And they just get going back and forth. The other day, Otis was running like he was at a horse track, like just in circles. And finally he got so tired he rolled over. Like when he was running, he like rolled himself. And after that, he was a little wobbly for a little while, but like he bounced back. I was like, what is he? I think he knocked his balance off from running so like in circles so much. And but yeah, exactly. And dogs are honestly, when I go to counseling when I was a little kid, they'd have those therapy dogs.
Sure.
And I just fell in love with dogs, man. Like that's when I just fell in love with animals, especially dogs, because they're just the most loving, forgiving. I used to like think it was funny when like people would talk to their dogs like, oh yeah, he keeps me company. I'm like, well, it's a dog. Well, now I know exactly what that feels like because I'm telling Otis all the time, no, stop it, get down, get off of there. And I said, I'll be like, get down from there. You're too big to be doing that kind of stuff. You're going to fall off and hurt yourself. And he's just looking at me like, what? Like, I'm not speaking what you're speaking, but I don't feel like those people are as crazy as I thought they were, because dogs really are just angels, man. Like they're just, they heal a lot.
They have true loyalty and true spirits. I mean, they really do. They do heal. And so do cats. I mean, the cats are my brother's a big cat person. My oldest son is a big cat. He's got Bengals. He's got 2 Bengal cats. That one of them opens the doggone refrigerator. Okay. He's so smart. So they had to put a latch on the refrigerator because the cat would just open it up. And, hey, speaking of, the ability to hide, anybody seen Candace lately?
Well, I think that she tried to go to a concert last week, and I don't know how it turned out for her. But I thought that she was going to hand out flyers at the gate for Missing Summer, but that didn't turn out to be the case. But no, I haven't seen hide nor hair of her, and I'm not really that disappointed, but it is interesting when she makes Dawn's not going to be in jail that much longer on the
don't hold your breath.
Well, I was going to say with these charges,
right? Okay.
Depending on what's following those, because I do believe that charges are coming, but there may be a small gap in between. I don't know. I'm just
there could be, yeah. I mean, there could be. But you know,
hopefully
we talked, right? You and I talked a couple days ago. I mean, it's confirmed. I mean, that Utah is in their final steps, and we'll see what when they pull the trigger, because they've got it. They've got a case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that. Let me just read a couple of these super chats here and a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So no, it's fine. Be the strongest parent you can be a leader and positive. My mother used to say a child's unoccupied mind is the devil's workshop. Keep your children busy and thinking at all times. You can't challenge them enough. The crime in Wisconsin should have never occurred. I agree with that. And thank you so much for that. Muscles and Mascara. I could listen to this duo for hours and hours. Look, we talk more than this. So
yeah.
Two amazing souls who have hearts of gold. I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you for being a guide to humanity and light, to decency in this world. Thank you for all you both do. Hashtag summer, hashtag hope. Absolutely.
Very kind.
Very nice of you to say that. And let's see here. Levin says, you two do good work. Just tune out these haters. They will not stop. Just bah humbug. Bah humbug. Do what's right for the missing and keep doing you. We appreciate what you're doing for all the missing. Absolutely. Negativity doesn't affect me the way it does some. Thank goodness. I've learned over the years that you keep it positive or we see you. You know what I mean? Catch you on the flip side. Yeah, let's see here. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Chris.
Appreciate you.
Very, very sweet and kind of you. The classiest streamer around. Thank you for your integrity, mad respect. I think they're talking about you, and you are.
Yeah, I think it's mutual. So you're good.
We both do our best. Levis says mods don't thank me. Did I miss something here?
Yeah,
I did. I skipped one. Golly. Sometimes not forgiving, but just letting go, refusing to carry that burden of pain that is his cruelty. Josh, you're a phoenix. Thank you.
Yep, that's wisdom.
And it really is. That's something that I've had to learn, and I'm still learning. Honestly, I'm learning how to put things, compartmentalize certain things, what gets my attention and energy. Because if I reacted to every little thing in life that bothered me, I'd be a tired guy. And one time I said on this very show, is the lemon worth the squeeze? And then people said, it's the fruit. Well, I say the lemon. I don't know why. I thought that was the saying. Do you know if that's the saying or not, Chris? Is it the lemon worth the squeeze, or is it something else?
When I was born, they slapped my mother. So to be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that one.
Your poor
right
mother.
there. I know you ran into a garage door, but they actually
twice
when I was born. So I don't have that answer.
They slapped your mother when you were born, and I ran into a garage door the other day.
Yeah, and they rolled me over and told her she had twins. So we're good. Sorry about that.
Said, what was Chris going to tell us about the Utah case involving Don? What was coming up or going to happen? Well, I believe he said that Don is now saying what happened didn't happen. It kind of happened, but it didn't happen the way that they said it happened. So it sounds like there's differing opinions of what happened, but that stuff really, am I right there, Chris?
Yeah, it's the standard, it happened, but not exactly the way they're talking about it.
It never does.
Remember, and he used to blame poor Jeannie and Mary. Jeannie is the instigator at 5 years old. Are you serious? Come on. Next. Line them up. Book them.
I think that would be an amazing interview talking about my father. Thank you, Josh and McFluff, for staying the course. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Six.
Criminal Minds definitely are fascinating. There's that new thing on Netflix about John Wayne Gacy. And oh man, I mean,
the clown.
Absolutely. When everybody knows that he's an evil person, but when you start hearing from the victims that survived and stuff, I mean, it takes it to a whole nother level. Yep. And the fear, I mean, there was a 60-year-old man on there talking, and because he was like 18 at the time, and he was one of his victims that survived. And this 60-year-old man's crying, telling the story. And I'm just like, it's heartbreaking, the way that he was telling it.
And that's where Larry Simon is right now. I can't tell you what prison he's in, but that's what he's doing. He's sitting down with, these sadistic personality types. I had him on 2 weeks ago. So I told him, I said, you got to come back. We want to talk about some of these, these nut jobs. So I'm going to see him, and we're going back to New Mexico. We're training another group of detectives on the Native Americans, Operation Lady Justice.
I Googled it. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Oh, thank you.
I've heard that. I'm going lemons. I don't know why, because I'm stubborn, really. Let's see here. And love to you, Josh. Your journey is absolutely your own. You're amazing just how you are. That's another thing is that I definitely appreciate all that love and I appreciate it. I know I'm up here in front of, you guys, but everybody has a story. Everybody has something that they've been through. I don't think that we couldn't pick one person in this room and say, tell me your most tragic event that's ever happened in your life. And no matter, people would always say, well, it's nothing compared to what you've been through. And I'd always say, that's not really fair because I've never experienced what you experienced. It's just different. I get the optics and the horrific, child being a child but there are many people that throughout their whole lives, tragic accidents happen. People lose children. God forbid that I would ever have to deal with something like that. So I don't think that I'm necessarily any stronger than anybody else. But I had a foundation and it matters how you raise children. It really, really, really matters. And I can't express that enough. Parents can really just set their kids back way, way, way back in life. And by all accounts, my dad did do that, but I caught up pretty fast because of the people that helped me. And so, sometimes when I talk about these cases, and I don't want to overshadow, but I do understand that people are interested in hearing about, what I went through and stuff. And that is very sweet and kind of everybody. So I do appreciate all the love that people give us. Muscles and Mascara said, well, my Jack Russell got a stepper game up too.
Exactly.
Chris,
Thank you, Muscles.
Take off like a rocket too, especially for squirrels.
Zoomers. I love that. I love it.
Well, yeah, I had a Jack Russell who
awesome.
he did the same thing, man. He was just like a bullet.
Yeah. They are, and they're fast. If you've, I don't know if you've ever seen the Jack Russell's races where they jump over.
Yeah, I have actually.
Stuff. It's hysterical. And there's one dog from Purina. His name is Ollie, and he was out of Great Britain, and he did the obstacle course. It's hysterical. If you've not seen it, you got to Google Ollie, the obstacle course.
Yeah,
isn't it? This is very kind.
Two amazing men right here. I love you both. Thank you for everything you do for the ones without a voice. Thank you so much, Lori, and absolutely, you're a great mod, and thank you for being here. And Canadian Cookie became a member.
Love that name.
I do too a lot. I think. Let's see here. Here's a question. Let's see if we can answer here. Do you think they will get Dawn to talk when faced with Utah charges and do some deal? These people definitely know not to talk. They must have a lot on each other or just so criminal minded. I think it's both. I think there's a bit of both there. They're very criminal minded and they don't like police. Do you think Dawn's happy sitting in the jail? I mean, but what do you think, Chris? I mean, is that a possibility? Well, obviously it's a possibility. Is it likely? Is that something that, if you can share it, please? If not, if it's something that we shouldn't talk about,
I think Stephanie is extremely smart. And I think if Don was smart, he would pay attention to Stephanie. And because what if it would be his best move to say, okay, this is what happened. And here's where Summer is. And now they can, figure out how many charges to say, okay, well, instead of 20, maybe you'll get 10. So good job, Steph.
And there's Mimi.
Hi, Mimi.
She's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely welcome for that. There is, where is This is a good one. I told my son to stop saying Zoom, so he taught my Russell to Zoom by moving his finger. It
That's awesome.
really is. They're the best, man. They really, really are.
Miss Marshall has a question. She keeps putting it up here. It says, "Do you find it odd
Let me find it.
Ellie didn't bother to contact Grandma for questioning how much to pay for a question?" Well, I don't know, but
Wait,
yeah, if they didn't talk to her, yeah, that is odd. But I think
why
they.
wouldn't they talk to Grandma?
Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure they did.
She said they did.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, and I was looking, I didn't see it, but somebody said, "Do you think that the cases of Summer and Rose are related?" I personally don't, but I don't really have any insight to either one of them. The only thing I feel that is related is lifestyle, just bad lifestyle choices. Not saying that Rose, I'm just saying the family that she came from was not a great, it just wasn't a great situation. And same thing for Summer. So I think in that sense that it is probably related, but I don't think that personally, I don't think there's like some serial killer in the family doing these things. That's just my personal opinion. But what do you think, Chris?
Agreed.
Yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, I think they're different, separate cases, but I don't think that they're I don't think that they're connected other than poor lifestyles. Oh, look at that, Chris. That's hey, Chris, meeting you is on my bucket list. Wow.
Well, you're on my bucket list too, there, Sherry. Maybe one day we'll cross paths. We high five each other.
You'd be pulling his Airstream. You'll catch him at a Texaco where he's emptying his crapper.
The crapper's full.
Crapper's full.
That's right. I'll lower your property values quickly. That's what I tell everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean,
there he is, right there.
And in case go ahead.
No, go.
I just said in case anybody hasn't seen the latest TMZ cover, there it is.
Boom. I'm on Airstream USA this week. That cover just came out.
Is Don hiding in that shed behind you?
You know, I am still not convinced he wasn't, but he said he wasn't. Candace said he wasn't. I apologized to her for saying that I thought he was. And he called me up ranting. I've never played the phone call, but I have the phone call where he just, I mean, it was well, you've heard him how he goes off on women. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's went off on me as well, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that part of his persona exploded on me a couple of times. I just, was like, oh, you can't pay for this.
Right.
Okay. And he exploded with her in the background, but she was, liquefied with large doses of alcohol. So everything that you could hear her yelling was in her unfortunate slurred speech. But Don, and then at the very end, of course, I was given orders to watch a couple of videos and say a couple of prayers and, Our Fathers and Hail Marys from
Pastor Don.
Yeah. Father Don.
Father Don. Yeah. Yeah. He did the same thing. He tried to convert me, but to his religion, but I told him I was totally happy with being Latvian Orthodox. So just leave me alone. Did you hear that Candace says that she doesn't lie? Did you ever hear her say that?
Oh yeah, of course.
No, I don't lie. I can't lie.
Carney. Yeah, no Carney has ever lied.
I don't lie. I can't lie.
I promise you. Here's the dart. Hit the balloon. I'm barking for the yak lady at the carnival.
Yeah, it's not in her metabolism, Chris.
Yeah, of course not. No,
her metabolism.
And I've never met anybody who's ever lied in any of the cases I've ever worked. Ever, honestly, if you don't believe me, ask John. He's out in the lobby.
Well, I think everybody's lied. So if you ask somebody, have you ever lied? And they say no, there's a really, really great chance that that's a lie.
That is a lie.
I mean, who hasn't lied? No, I didn't eat the last piece of pizza. No, I
Right.
definitely, I definitely didn't put peanut butter on my sister's face while she was asleep after her surgery and let the dog lick it off and take pictures with the Polaroid camera. I didn't do that. Even though the Polaroid, even though the film showed up, somebody else did. It wasn't me. But, people don't lie. There are certain
I
people that don't lie, like Candace.
I have a funny story. When I was in patrol, I got called to a store. They had a little boy detained. I think he was like 9. And so I get there and walk up to him, and they got him in the security office calling his mom. And I guess the department store thought be a good idea to call the police for some reason. Anyway, I get there and find out, this kid's 9 years old. They can't even form this intent to commit a crime at 9, right? They don't, they're still wearing, diapers and all this other stuff sometimes internally, right?
Mhm.
Pajamas, etc., Superman pajamas. So I said to him, I said, what did you take? He goes, nothing. I said, you sure about that? I said, these guys over here are telling me they saw you put some stuff in your pockets. He goes, I didn't take anything. I said, you sure? Right? He said,
Yeah.
empty your pockets. And the poor little guy reaches in and he pulls out these little, Reese's peanut butter cups. Okay. And I said, how did you get all these in your pockets? He goes, it was hard. I said, thanks for not lying. All right, pal. And I turned to the store. I said, call his mom. I'm out of here. Have a great
Yeah.
night.
There's something genuine about that. Unfortunately, it's just like it was hard to get. Yeah, well, it was really hard to do.
Yeah, no, kids are honest. They'll shoot the truth right to you if you stay with them long enough.
Absolutely.
Internally.
A couple more questions here, and then we'll
Yeah.
get going. Here's a great one, Chris. Generally speaking, in any missing persons case, is a detective looking at a particular person who offers up a suggestion about what may have occurred? Very curious after rereading about RMB. What's RMB? I mean, we could
You're
answer the first part of that question. I don't know who RMB is, though.
Yeah, generally speaking, in any missing person case, the detective looking at a particular person who offers up a suggestion about what may have occurred. No, not necessarily. I mean, you have to look first of all at the circumstances in relationship to the victimology. You have to take a look at what the victim was doing and why that victim was there, and or why that victim was chosen. And then at that point, you start listening to the witnesses, because witness testimony sometimes can be unreliable.
My bad.
Oh, Rosebly. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
You're allowed to say her name. She's a
Yeah.
real person.
Yeah, you're good, Amy. And
Appreciate the question too. Good question.
yeah, so at that point, right, you wanna find out, who the last person was with that individual, and then you wanna, ask why was that person with that individual, and then you wanna kinda, work your way back from there. And you also wanna take into consideration in a missing persons case if there's a car involved. Okay, that's what we call a secondary crime scene. The first crime scene is obviously the victim and where the victim's going to be found, okay, if they're found. And if it's a homicide case, then that becomes, another variance in relationship to where the investigation is going to go. But so then you have two crime scenes. You've got the car where they could have been abducted, and then you have the secondary, which is where the victim may or may not have been, discovered. And so you want to start on both of those areas, but not specifically with a witness statement. Go ahead.
Says, I have a question. Why hasn't Candace been arrested for child neglect, etc.? Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, Quinny, I love your come as you are. I love it. Absolutely. That is a great question. And I don't have the answer to that personally.
Yeah. I can only hope that maybe that investigation's still going too. I mean, it's just, I know that 10 months is a long time, but it's really not, especially when you're trying to nail. I mean, to be completely honest and fair, Dawn and Candace have done things to those kids by putting them in danger every day by the way that they live, that they, first of all, they shouldn't have any children in their possession, and they don't as of now, but they did as of last year. And it went on for far too long. They, if they had nothing to do with Summer going missing, and I highly doubt that, they're still negligent on many, many different things. So it is a great question. It is frustrating. Could they bring, there are charges coming. I just don't know what those are. Who knows? You know, when it comes to the kids, and there has to be, but who knows exactly? It's a very complicated situation. It really, really is.
Yeah, and let's just say this and put it on the record. TBI is talking with Utah.
There you go, folks.
So let's say there's a strategy.
Yeah, and we just try to be patient, and it's not that easy, but it is. They're talking. They're working. 2 weeks ago, we heard from the lead investigator and the district attorney, who says that there are implications of the law, meaning, yeah, there are crimes here. We just haven't defined them yet. And when they put them in front of me, we'll see what we can charge people with. And then he brought up a grand jury. I mean, to me, those are breadcrumbs. They're like, we're working. And so that's a good thing. Chris, I want to thank you so much for being here, and let us know what you got coming up, and then I'll send us out.
Yeah. So I've got this Sunday, I've got Jennifer Conifender. I don't know if you know her. She's kind of a high profile gal. She's FBI. She's weighed in on a lot of cases, one of the talking heads, et cetera. But she and I are good friends, and she's coming up on Sunday night. We're going to talk about Summer from the FBI's position and my experience, and one of the couple of our own insights. So hopefully you can make it, and hit that subscribe button over here, and hit mine as well. I'm almost at 100. I think I'm 125 away or something like that. But
we're gonna get you there. It's gonna happen.
Maybe you can push me over, Josh.
Come on, guys, let's go, please.
We're good. But Jennifer's pretty smart. She's a sharp cookie, and she was on the FBI SWAT team for many years, and she's also firearms instructor, and she weighs in a lot. As on various news stations you see her. But anyway, we talked today. She said you'd love to catch up, and so we're going to talk about Summer from her perspective, and she's going to give you some insight into some other things that she was working on, and Lily, that Lily case as well. So anyway, Josh, as always, I want to thank you for everything you've done, everything you're doing. Stay the course, brother, and all this other mishigosh, whatever it is, the whatever, it all goes away. So aloha, have a great evening. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. It's always a great time. Hit that subscribe button, everybody, and join his channel. He's a great man. I'll talk to you later, bud. Talk to you.
All right. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Thank you guys for being here. Been a great show. Obviously, thank you to Chris. Thank you for all the super stickers, super chats, questions, new members, new subscribers. Always appreciated. Make sure to tune into the interview room Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And let's get the interview room to 100,000, and they deserve another 100,000 after that. There's nobody in the business of this kind of business that does more than the interview room and the Cold Case Foundation. People always say, look how much I do for this, how much I do for that. Well, you don't know half of what goes on behind the scenes with these people, because they're out there working and working and working. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. God bless you all.
There is no investigation. This boy has...
not really this to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
but I had to put her on the side and worry about
I'm gonna
the
do
boys.
what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There's not really. It is to me. Right. Idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, you know. That's still tough.
But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There's not really. It is to me. But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I had to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I had to put her. But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys.